for most, we want to say all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashim,
Hashem,
Yahweh
Yahushai,
Shai, Ba'ashim,
Hashem,
Hamakdash.
Rakakadash.
Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone. Citation to action, pushing this word, sincerity and honesty. The hopeful elect that's constantly enduring throughout the four corners of the world. Shalom. My name is Kara Allah. With me is the brother
Kasab.
and we got together to do a lesson and go in the spirit. All right, so dealing with current events, a lot of things are happening. All right, but we're gonna keep on speaking on it because scriptures say to watch as well as pray. Okay, so what you got there? You got anything right now?
Yeah. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me.
That's right. So we're on our watch right now. Okay, as that's the spirit of a prophet. Watching for the times to come and any disasters to warn the people. Once you're on that tower, which we know is known as watchmen, you're on that tower, which that tower is Israel. Israel's a people before place. Okay, so wherever Israel is at, we gotta let those warnings be known, those prophecies be known. Right.
Right. It says, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. The Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it.
Right, and the vision is what the prophecies coming to pass, and making it plain upon tables, meaning these scriptures that's written down, we breaking it down through the Spirit, giving a correct understanding to it. If you have the ears to hear and eyes to see, all right, because the elect is gonna get it. 2/3 is not gonna get it. They're gonna reject it, okay, but the elect is gonna understand,
Right. It says that he may run that readeth it, for the vision is yet for an appointed time.
That he may run that reader of it, because you got to pass on the message, right? So that's talking about the elect, because you're gonna hear the word. You might be in the world. You're gonna hear the word, then it wakes you up, and now it's your job to go out there and give out the same message, the same warning. Okay, coming out of the scriptures, coming out of this the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, these scriptures, yeah.
Right. It says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it.
Though it tarry, wait for it, because it might seem like nothing's happening. A lot of people thought that the year 2000 was going to be the time of deliverance, but that couldn't happen because certain prophecies didn't come to pass yet. Okay, but now we in a time of great prophecies passing. The prophecies are just happening back to back, which the two of the main prophecies we're in the midst of is the Prophetic microchip and the World War III, along with plagues and famines and whatnot. Okay, and total destruction. Right, we in the time of war. Right, which we heading towards a nuclear war, and also in the time of the RFA microchip, which they're steadily preparing the people for. We can go into that too a little later too. But I know you had a
Article.
Article you want to bring out.
Yeah. Let me just finish this last line. Yep. It says, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
Yeah, wait for it. Have patience. You gotta have patience in this thing. It's not moving. It's not these prophecies. These prophecies don't come to pass in our time. But that's another way that the Lord used to sift who's his men and who's not. Because you have men that come in for a time. If they don't see no changes, they fall back out, go back into the world, pursue their music careers, or whatever goals that they aspire for in the world. They go back into the world and continue in that stead. But they don't They lose patience as far as waiting upon Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah.
Right. Now, Like the brother said, we watchmen, so part of our duty is to watch for the prophecies, and in order to do that, we have to look at the news and filter it through the scriptures. So I wanted to bring out this article from CNN.com, and it's entitled. It says massive explosion at Iranian port kills 28 and injures hundreds. All right, so you had a massive explosion over there in the land of Iran. Um, I'm going to read to the article. It says the explosion. Well, it says at least 28 people have been killed and 800 injured in a huge explosion at the port of Bandar Abbas in southern Iran. State media report the explosion sent a huge plume of thick gray smoke from the Sahid Raji part of the port complex, according to the videos geolocated by CNN, with the government saying the blast was likely linked to chemicals being stored. Right, so we perceived through the spirit that this was a hit, all right, by their adversaries. Okay, we know that Iran is currently at war with Israel, all right, and all of Israel's allies, including the U.S. military. Okay, so it could have been, since it was chemically linked, it could have been a accident, but more than likely it was an inside job.
Yeah,
All right, and that's the times that we in.
yeah. We'll preach it real quick for that. It says Amos 3:6. It says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid?"
Right, because in ancient times, when the trumpet was blown in the city, all right, that indicated uh, an event. Okay, an alarm. Okay, you know, um, during the time of war, they blew the trumpet. During the time of solemn assemblies, you know, which is the word solemn means serious. All right, they blew the trumpet. So blowing the trumpet, it was something to be highly regarded. It wasn't something to just brush off or not to esteem. Okay, when the trumpet was blown, people took heed. All right, go ahead.
It says, "Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it?"
Right, shall there be evil in the city and the Lord have not done it? Right, all right, because the Heavenly Father is in control. Yahweh is his name. Yahweh Shai is his only begotten Son, who he bestowed all power unto. So this is all the will of the Heavenly Father. Whatever event takes place, whether it be bad or good, is all the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right, the Most High controls good and evil, man. Life and death. He controls, the whole matter, everything. All right, so it's all through the Spirit that these things are happening, in the world, because it all goes back to the scriptures, the prophecies. All right.
Yeah, the time we in now at war, you're gonna have all kinds of wars breaking out. They got espionage, um uh, tariff wars, okay, proxy wars. All right, so it's a lot of wars breaking out. So it's gonna lead up to a lot of disasters, like the article the brother just read. And who's paying for it? People, the civilians. They're getting blown up left and right, and it's happening over there in the Middle East, okay, over there in Europe, but it's not touching America at this time. So the American people have fun living in denial. They're comfortable living in denial, like nothing is happening. But what's going to happen eventually is this place is going to be next. Okay, when the stock market crashes, when the dollar collapses, okay, you're going to have attacks. Some of it's going to be inside jobs, and some of it is going to be um, these different nations attacking this place, right? Ultimately, nuclear attacks, right? But there's gonna be um attacks upon America because America is not as strong as it used to be, although it love for people to think it is. But the way the Lord set it up is for every nation to have a up, you know, when they come in power and a time to reign, and then every nation to come out of power. So right now we're at the end of America's rulership, man. So you're gonna see a lot of disasters happening even on the American soil. I got a quick precept.
Yeah, you got it.
So Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomsoever he will, and sets up over it the basis of men. Okay, so the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. So when you see these things happening, it might look tragic, might be a tragedy, but guess what? It's ultimately is judgment from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. Okay, and it says here, it says to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. How is that known? Because the Lord set up prophets. Okay, he set up his prophets to come and prophesy his name, his power, and also the prophecies. Okay, that's how you know. Even today, you get prophets, the men of the Lord, out there prophesying the downfall of this place and prophesying the name or declaring the name of the true names Yahweh Wa Yahweh Shai. It says, and setteth up over it the basis of men. There you go. The reason why Esau is in power is because, you know, which Esau is the basis of men. Okay, the lowly, the most wicked. Okay, Esau is at the so-called white man is as low as it gets. All right, the basis of men. Okay, and why are they in power? Because Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai gave them the time to rule, ultimately for their judgment. Yeah, that was it.
Got something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 11. It says, well, I start at verse 10. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shabbat Shai, it shall also come to pass, and at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Now, this is talking about the Russians. All right. You know, the scriptures talk about, you know, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. All right, Gog and Magog. All right, we know that Russia. This is talking about Russia. All right, Russia, Turkey. All right, so forth and so on. So, but mainly it's talking about the Russians, and it says, "It shall also come to pass that at the same time things shall come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought." Right, because it's gonna come into their mind to destroy Babylon the Great, which is America, by the way of nuclear missiles. Verse 11, it says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely. Going back to what the elder brother said about this land, here it is, you know, on the other side of the world, over there in the Middle East. All right, you know, you got Syria is becoming a desolation from via war. All right, certain parts of Israel is being made a desolation through war. Okay, you got the war over there in Ukraine that's going on. The war between the Chinese and the people of Taiwan. Okay, so there's a you know, all these different lands are experiencing, you know, the effects of war. You know, the after effects of war, which is desolation. Okay, but America, you know, which is on the western side of the world, they haven't really experienced any real desolation. All right, that's why the scriptures call America the virgin, man. All right, and they call Esau Edom, which is the ruler of America. That's why he's known as the virgin daughter of Babylon. All right,
Hmm.
because this land, is like a virgin because it's never experienced real desolation from war and never been invaded by other nations. Okay, and they dwell safely here. They dwell, like it says, them that are at rest. Here in America, they are at rest
Yeah.
compared to all other lands in the world. All right, because America has been the world, the dominant, the superpower. Having all these nations, submit to their will via the petrodollar. Having it as the world reserve currency. All right, so these Americans, you know, living lavishly, you know, using that U.S. dollar to dominate all these different other places, man. All right, well, all of that is coming to an end. Like we're going into this trade war. Okay, these nations are moving away from the dollar. You got the BRICS alliance, all right, which consists of Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and China, and now you got other countries and other nations joining up. Following the BRICS. All right.
Yeah, and even China exposed um America for their luxury, right? Because they like to buy them bags, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, um, with Dolce Gabbana, whatever. Right, all them bags they like to buy. What them girls like?
Birkin,
Birkin,
Chanel.
Chanel. Yeah, all them bags, man. All those bags that you see from Paris and whatever, they get it from China. They get the base of the bag is from China. Then they take it overseas and they do the little ones and two to it, and boom, you got you a new Birkin. $7,000 bag, $13,000 bag, $4,000 bag, just like that. But it comes from China. So with these tariffs going off, China decided to expose America for just how much they need China. Okay, so you're gonna lose those certain luxury brands that these Americans love to buy, spend money on. You got Jake, so-called Negros, Latinos, Native Americans with regular 9 to 5, spending their whole rent on. Okay, you're gonna lose all that, or the prices are gonna skyrocket.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I got something for you.
you got it.
This is Isaiah 47:1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon."
Yeah, come down and sit in the dust, which the dust is confusion. Mercury right now is in a state of confusion. Okay, and it's only gonna get worse. So you have the tariff wars, you have threats of nuclear war. Okay, you have civil wars, right? In fightings, you have uproars of the people, right? Sitting the dust, or virgin daughter, because why? Like brother broke down beautifully through the spirit. America has not been touched by war. Now you've seen war in the Middle East, you've seen war in Europe, okay. But as far as America, like World War I and II is over there in Europe, okay. But this war right here is gonna take place right here in America, okay. It's gonna take place right here in America, right?
Yep. So reading on it says, it's like it. Wait a second. Yeah, reading on it says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There
Yeah,
is
it's,
no."
it's called the virgin daughter of Babylon, because Babylon is another word for America. America took on the whole spirit of Babylon, right? Which also took on the spirit of Egypt, okay. But also what else? Rome, But America is also known as Babylon,
Right.
which Babylon is what confusion, which
Sure.
America is nothing but confusion.
Right. So it says, "Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans."
Right, the Chaldean is known for their witchcraft, right? Also dealing with the Babylonians.
right? The Freemasons,
Yeah,
all right, the so-called Illuminati. You know, that ain't nothing but witchcraft, man. You know, these guys worship spiritual demon Satan.
yeah.
You
Con,
know,
con.
and it says, "For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate."
Thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. All right,
Right,
losing your wealth, losing like the dollar's collapsing. You lose the tariff wars. You're losing. It's looking pitiful. Okay,
stock markets is down.
stock markets is down, and the goal is to affect these other nations, but really don't people that's being affected are the Americans.
Right,
Okay, and not only that, but when it comes to weapons, when it comes to military, America is starting to lack in that department as well. Okay, like the other day they got ran out of the Middle East, right? They got ran out the Middle East. They lost, they lost the proxy war over there in Ukraine. Okay, so America is taking a bunch of L's. It's not. You're not the guy that Trump would have you believe America is a tough guy on the block. It's a bluff, and it's shown through history or current events.
and the so-called white man is proud to, a fault. You know, it's really delusional. But I have another one for you. This
Yeah,
is Revelation chapter 18. I'll start at. I don't gotta get into all that, but I'll just get to the point.
hmm
All right, yeah, I get to the point. This is Revelation 18, verse 15. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen.
yeah, the merchants, because all these nations did business with America. All right, so much business that their they took on their
Customs,
customs,
philosophy.
philosophies, democracy, right? Because America was doing good, so they took on their customs mainly to get at their to help to get in business with them. That was America's. That's how you know America was in power.
Right? Because in order to be a pilot, you gotta speak English.
Yeah,
You know, it shows who's in authority.
yeah, and everyone's second. If you not American, you don't speak English. Your second language that you have to learn would be English, right?
Right. So it says, in saying, "Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple."
Hey, shalom, Akim, Kambo, shalom. Y'all was struck thumb, shalom.
Right. It
Right.
says, in saying, "Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple."
Those are royal colors, okay? And that's talking about America. Babylon the Great, version of the Babylon, right?
Right. Represents the great how exalted this society was, man.
Yeah.
When it says, for 1 hour, so great riches has come to naught.
In 1 hour. That's how long the destruction is going to take when those nuclear missiles are pelted from the far ends of the world. Okay, in 1 hour, this place is going to be destroyed. Right?
It says, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that.
Yeah, that's right. So they were made rich, because that's how you get your import and your export. A lot of it is by sea when they bring it in to the ports. Like we just read the article, there was a port that got blown up. So that's gonna affect people's um, it's gonna be a tax. Like it's gonna be an effect on payments. Like things are gonna the price is gonna raise up. All right. So America being destroyed, a lot of these different nations got rich off of America.
Yeah.
So they're gonna stand off with their things ready to trade, and here there's no more trades to be made.
Right. Because right now we got these different nations. They basically they doing this trade war retaliation thing. All right, against America, but in reality, they want to keep making money. They really want you know Trump to work with them and come negotiate with them
Yeah.
because they making so much money. So when that money is gone, man, these people are gonna fucking they're gonna mourn, man. They're gonna be very upset.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read on. It says, "Wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High have avenged you on her."
Real quick, Sharice, real quick. It says this is straight off Google. It says the United States have been near the forefront of global consumption trends since the 1700s, and for the past century and more, Americans have been the world's foremost consuming people. All right, so that means what? Whatever you had, whether it's gold, wood, uh, oils, um, whatever you had to trade, you bring it to America and they'll buy it. Okay.
Right? Because the because the consumption that's being done here in America, it profits all of these different nations
Yeah.
because they take that money or that that false money, which they think is money,
Right.
they take it back to their countries, and because the dollar is backed by the belief of the people. All right, so
Right.
they take all this money and they go back to their homes, and they're looked at as being rich because they have the all of these abundance of U.S. dollars, man. Which compared to these other currencies, still trumps majority of these currencies, man.
Mm-hmm.
So $50 over there in let's say $50 in Jamaica or $50 in Mexico or Thailand, you know, it's probably is way more than what it's worth here in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Esau Edom is in power, the so-called white man, and he got the tax. Really, it's the tax that he got on all these other nations.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, hold a little more.
That was the point.
That's a point. Um, this right here is from the brother Stand Fast and Faithful. The water for the precepts. This is Slakia. Uh, Jeremiah 51:8. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain.
Right, because it's all happening in the sudden. It was all good just a week ago. You know, uh, a couple years ago, which time is going fast. So you know, you know, and one minute these people was living it up. You know, traveling the world,
Yeah.
traveling the world. Buying houses. Popping out babies left and right. Buying all this. Going to these retail stores, going to these fancy restaurants, buying all this costly apparel, living their best lives, man. Like the scriptures told Esau to rejoice and be glad. But now the Most High is, closing up shop. Like the scriptures saying, was that Ecclesiastes 12?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they look out of the window, and roughly paraphrasing,
It should be
it
darkened.
shall be darkened.
Yeah.
You know, the sound of the grinding is low. The economy is not. Job report is bad. The economy is not doing good. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
nations are, raising their taxes for their goods. All right, moving away from the U.S. dollar. Okay, and we're in the midst of a global reset because the dollar is at it has already reached its pinnacle. Now it's on a decline. So
Right.
now the dollar's on is basically on its way to collapse.
Yeah,
Through heavy inflation. You know,
that's right.
there was more.
Yeah. It says Jeremiah 51:8 says, take continue on, it says, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed.
Right, because there is no remedy for this plague, man. There is no remedy for this judgment, man. There is no remedy for this you know the hell that's about to be that's about to take place on America, man, and on the people of America.
Yeah.
You know,
You got Trump in office trying to put taxes on Mexico, trying to tax Canada, Panama Canal, okay, and other EU members and NATO members, but it's to no avail. It's not going to happen. You're trying to tax the whole world, trying to tax China, Russia, all right, but it's not going to make America great.
right? They don't, like I said, the infrastructure in America's all fucked up, and meanwhile, on top of that, they cutting all the federal funding for, like I said, the construction, all right, the education, the healthcare. They cutting all of that. Why are they cutting all that? Because they want to focus on war. All of that money, the taxpayer, U.S. tax dollars, all of that is being sent to Israel, Ukraine, and the U.S. military, man. All right. Meanwhile, the American people, you know, they're getting the short end of the stick. Paying heavy taxes, inflation. Like I said, federal funding's being cut, which that's leading to what? People losing their jobs, man. Government officials losing their jobs. So America's it's going to be a class war, and and the Most High is collapsing America from the inside and the outside.
Right. So it says, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country."
Right, because it's not according to the so-called white man's mind. All right, how this thing's going to play out. All right, the Edomites. It's not according to his mind. Okay. The Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, like you brought out earlier.
Hmm.
All right, and the Most High, the scriptures say, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Right. So Esau lifted up in his pride. Esau lifted up with his pride. That's because the Most High have, just like he did to Pharaoh during the time of the Egyptian captivity of the Israelites. All right, Pharaoh was lifted up with pride. All right, and refused to hearken unto Moses, which is the Most High's prophet. Okay,
Yeah.
the same thing going on now. The Pharaoh, the modern day Pharaoh, which is Donald J. Trump. All right, he's exalted, man. He's lifted up with pride, thinking that America can't be beat, can't be touched, can't be stopped. So
That's right. It says, "We should have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies."
right, so this country is becoming divided, and all these heathens that came over here and prospered, all right, and set up shop and made money off the Lord's people, you know, because they came over here and they basically took everything that belonged to us, all the businesses, all right, all of the resources. They came and they took the scraps from us. So now that they see that the writing is on the wall, they're all gonna scatter, man. You know, a lot of them are gonna go back to their homelands. You know, because is majority of these places is better than America anyway, man. All right, as far as like, health wise and morally, okay. Because really, the only reason they came to this land was to make money. Now that the money's no longer here, this place is a piece of shit.
Yeah. speaking of Egypt, the brother gave us another precept. Stands fast in faith for. It's Isaiah 19 and 15.
You got that, man.
Okay, I'll read it real quick. It says, I'll start at 14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And like I mentioned earlier, Egypt is spiritually talking about America. Okay, because why? Because in Egypt, we were in captive. Egypt was known for the captivity of Israel. So here in America, it's the same thing. This is where that second deliverance is coming from. Okay, that spiritual Egypt, America. It says, the Lord has mingled a perverse spirit in the spirit in the midst thereof. Because who's in rulership? Esau. Esau is perverse from birth, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. Right, because America is not following not one law, statute, or commandment according to the scriptures. Okay, and so everything. So it's basically a curse upon this place, man. Everything they do, they're gonna fail at. Right? They wanna start a tariff war. They're gonna lose at it. Okay, they wanna fight a proxy war. They're gonna lose at it. Right? Whatever they do is gonna look bad. And when they try to do things like what happened 2001 with the Twin Towers, they got exposed for it. Okay, so they can't do nothing right. It says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or the tail, branch or rush may do. It says gonna be no work. People gonna lose jobs. A lot of these corporate companies are going under. I was watching the brother last night, and this he had the lesson on an Edomite woman that had her own business, and basically her business was in China, and she had to pay for her own products to come to America, and due to the tariffs, she couldn't afford nothing because the prices were so high. Okay, so that's how it's gonna be for a lot of these businesses, and a lot of these people that work for these corporate companies or put their faith in America and these companies, they're gonna be asked out in these last days. All right, that was a point on that one. Um, one precept we can finish. We can close out.
Mm.
All right. This is I actually want to go back and
You read that. I got one more too.
okay. I also want to go back and what's that? Isaiah 47. I want to jump down to verse 9. You can end it there. This is Isaiah 47 and 9. Um it says Isaiah 47 and 8. It says, therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasure, that dwelleth carelessly, that saith in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the lowest of children. So America is giving on to pleasure. Okay, when you on top and got nothing to worry about, you fall off. You lose your edge. Okay, so America and the American people, they're giving on to pleasure. So they don't know what loss is, what loss looks like. Okay, so they could be losing and don't even know it. Right now, America and these other countries, especially mainly Russia, the BRICS. I'll say the BRICS, NATO, okay, and other countries. They're in a deadly chess game. All right, because you have chess when you can play 1-on-1 chess. Then they have chess when you can play 4 at a time. They got a board set up to you can play 4 people play chess at one time. All right, so right now these countries are in a deadly chess game, and we're heading towards the end game. And the American people, who despise the prophets, they're not even taking heed. They don't even know what's going on.
All right, that was it.
Slow mo slack. It says, and none else besides me, I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. You're gonna take a whole bunch of L's. Okay, it says, but these two things shall come to thee in the moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee, and that's gonna be through war. Okay, it says they shall come upon thee in the perfection of the multitude of thy sorceries.
Hey, bro. Like
Hmm.
that Rasta Skank bitch said back in the day, judgment. That's what's coming, bro.
Yeah,
Judgment, bro.
that's right. It says, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. So, yeah, so you gonna pay. Like we read earlier, your judgments have reached onto the heavens. All right, so the Lord already got you up to here like a receipt. Like you let somebody steal, and then you finally approach them and say, "Listen, you've been stealing, and we got the receipts. Now your ass looking at grand larceny." Okay, so America judging right now, judging penalty is death.
All right, I got something.
Hmm.
I just forget. I don't know if you want to wrap it up there,
You got it.
but yeah, this is Isaiah 32, verse 5. It says, "The vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful."
You got it.
Right. The vile person is the Edomites. All right, so-called white people. All right, and it begins with the the top Edomites. All right, which is your central bankers, the elites. All right, even higher than so-called uh, the president of the United States. All right, Donald Trump. You got the Rothschilds. All right, those elite Edomite families, man. Rothschilds, Rockefellers. All right, the little hat wearers, the one with the hook noses. Okay, the ones pretending to be the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, that's the vile person, man. Okay, and it says shall no more be called liberal. Right? They're not looked at as angels of light anymore. They're not looked at as the like the light bearers anymore. All
Yeah,
right, they're not looked at as these deified people anymore, man. Now they're being looked at as the scum of the earth, man.
that's why
Right?
Isaiah 47 said to uncover thy locks.
Gone.
Right.
Gone. That's right. Yeah, because Esau is being exposed, man. All right. Yeah. At one point, people, they went. They started work. These other nations. They agreed to comply with the UN. All right. Wear the suit and tie. Learn the language of English. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Take on the ideologies of America, which is democracy. The LGBTQ community. You know, women's liberation, things of that nature. All right. But now these people are realizing, man, because just look at the state of the people all around the world. They realizing, man, this shit, everybody's all fat and out of shape. All right. Everybody's all proud as hell. These women, proud as hell. You know, women are out of order. Okay. So, and then violence and crime is on the rise, man.
All right.
So it says, nor the churl said to be bountiful, right? Now, the word churl, if I'm not mistaken, is basically synonymous with being vile, man. Being basically a detestable thing, okay? Um, and the word bountiful means pleasant, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The word bountiful, so they're not looked at as being pleasant anymore, man. They're not looked at as being uh, role models, okay, leaders. All right, these people, majority of even people in this country don't even trust their government, man.
Yeah.
All right, so these people are waking up and realizing that the government can't be trusted, as well as these people in uh, different fields of authority can't be trusted, man. Whether it be medical, military, they
Mm-hmm.
can't be trusted, man. So, um, yeah, I guess I'll read verse 6. It says, "For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity." Right. The so-called white man. The scriptures say, "The wicked plotteth against the just." All right. The so-called white man is plotting against the Hebrew Israelites,
Right.
which is us, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. They want to destroy us. All right, and they want their society to prolong. It says to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. Right. And that's them unrighteous decrees, man. All right. You know, the scriptures talk about in Revelation 13:11 how the so called white man, all right, he spake as a dragon, man. All right. Coming with that cruelness, man.
Yeah.
Coming with that subtlety, that wrath.
Them draconian laws.
The draconian laws. You know. And he's a hypocrite. All right. So you can't trust a hypocrite, man. You know, somebody that tells you to do something, but they themselves ain't doing it. You know, or they tell you not to do something, but they themselves are doing the thing that they tell you not to do. That's the so-called white man. Is a deceiver, man, a slanderer, and that's why, you know, time and time again, what do they do in the media? They portray the so-called black and Hispanic man as criminals, thugs, uh, rapists, okay, violent, all right, because that's the agenda, man. To take the heat off of them, take the bad narrative off of them, and put it on us, man. All right. So that was it on that.
Quick precept.
You got it.
Psalm 50 and 20 says, real quick, it says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. This is Psalms 50 and 20. It says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. Okay, because Jacob and Esau, all brothers. Esau came out first, right? The wicked, and Jacob came out after, representing the righteous, and also representing pulling Esau out of power, which we heading towards that prophecy now. Okay, Esau being the progenitor of the so-called white race, and Jacob being the progenitor of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now, the brother gave us another precept. This is gonna be the last one. Nahum 3 and 5 says, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, or Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And this is happening first of all through the prophets. Okay, going into the history. Okay, going into, for instance, whitewashing. All right, the apostles brought that out. You know, what else? Going into what they did to us when they had since captivity and slavery, right? All the lies and the hypocrisy of this place is being exposed ultimately from the prophets, and then also you have certain whistleblowers that bring out the truth, man. It says, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee and make thee vile, and we will set thee as a gazing stock. Yeah, so you're gonna be ashamed, all right? And ultimately, when you come out of power, you're gonna be in, a state of captivity. Okay, but that was basically it. You know, that's it, right?
Yes. Well,
All right, hey, the water to the Akim on the comm boards. Okay, stand fast and faithful. The water, y'all watch the shop brakta. So with that, Lord willing, edifying lesson. Once again, we want to say all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Kwakadash, double honesty, apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone. Citation to Akim pushing this word in no sincerity and honesty, and the hopeful elect around the four corners of the world, constantly enduring. Shalom.
Shalom.